Discovery.
3, 2, 1, 0, 0. Liftoff. Americans return to space as Discovery clears the tower.
Welcome to the Podcast Discovery Show, the podcast that's about other podcasts, where every single week we have a book club style discussion about a podcast. And at the end of the episode, we're going to have a brand new recommendation, and we're going to talk about that one next week. I'm Kirk.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Matt.
And this week we're talking about our buddy Keith's recommendation, who was our guest last week in Matt's absence. And his recommendation was Bad Vibes with Justin McElroy, which was a blast to listen to, by the way. And it was a great time. He recommended it a long time ago to us, but I wanted to save it for this season because it's a spooky show.
Yes. And Bad Vibes is basically just awesome stories. So here's their little plug they have. Hello there, my frightful friend. It's your old pal, Mr. Boogie, who's Justin McElroy, which makes it really makes it great, because I was telling Kirk when I was listening to this, that voice sounded so familiar. And I was like, oh, it's Justin. And it was great. But yeah, each week I will tell you a story in exchange for your fear. For dread and terror is the sweet, sweet sustenance I crave. And I'm very hungry. You should
have done it in the spooky
I know.
voice.
Come on, let's do a spooky voice.
This isn't
voice.
right, Zach.
No, but he does it like Colonel Sanders.
I'm just kidding.
He does it like Colonel Sanders. Doesn't he? It was like, I think that's what it is. Like Colonel Sanders style.
I don't know.
Kind of, yeah. A nice drawl.
It was kind of a southern boogeyman.
It is good to see y'all.
See, okay, this is what needs to happen. Is I need to send this to
No, you
Matt.
should have done it. It was on you.
No, I should have sent this to Matt. He is a professional actor.
He is a professional actor.
Actor.
And musician. And artist. And improv person.
Artiste improve person. And
just a great guy all around.
A great Great gee. Great gee, excuse me.
Well, we got highly derailed there. But yeah, each week they tell stories. Scary stories. Hosted by the Crypt Keeper, Justin McElroy.
The Crypt Keeper. Close enough. I can't talk either. Why can none of us talk tonight?
We're just so scared out of our darn minds.
So scared.
So this is a good podcast. I enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it too. I cannot remember ever being actually scared by a podcast, to be fair, even though every month we try and do like the spooky stuff around October. I've never been scared by it. Like, I like them. They sound cool, but I'm not like actually scared. Is there any with like jump scares that would...
Well, like, when do you listen to them?
I mean, I'm not like
at work, right? Like while you're doing something.
I mean, I'm not like lighting a candle and turning off all the lights and listening to the podcast.
Is like, I've listened to some of them while not recently, but I used to listen to them on my way to work or at work, and I'd get to work before daylight and I was the only one there. And that's when it's scary. When you're all alone and it's dark and you're listening to it, and then you get the first person that shows up at work and you're listening, you're like in the zone and you're listening to something, and then someone's right next to you and you freak the F out because you can't hear anybody. You couldn't hear them come up on you. Yeah. That's when I've gotten scared.
Yeah.
During this spooky month, I'm going to try. I'm going to try to scare myself with a podcast.
Try that. You know, I always find this one was spooky because I was just happening to go to an estate sale, and I was going over some guy's collection, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is creepy.
There's some rarities from his life. By the way, the name of the episode that we're discussing is Rarities. We haven't gotten to that point yet because we got very.
We always get there eventually, though.
And
we do get there eventually.
For those paying attention, I just described what the premise of the episode is.
Pretty much, yes, pretty much.
Which is not something that I did. Just kidding.
Now, I will say this: shows have gotten a lot better with the sound effects, and like they've got this whole like new thing. And I don't know if this one used it, but it kind of felt like it did, where it's got a little bit of omnidirectional like sounds, you know, like footsteps feel like they're going past you. It's almost like surround sound. And I really like that stuff. It really gets you in that kind of mindset of the atmosphere and stuff like that. And the voice acting on the show was really good, of course. I mean, it was really good. It just was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really did like the show. I'm just saying I wasn't scared. I mean, it could have something
this
to
one, I wasn't scared by this one either. But I thought it was a really good story, though.
Yeah,
it was a really
I
good
liked
story.
it as a story, and like you said, I do think that there is a lot. As I've been looking for more spooky episodes for this month, there is a lot in the, I guess you'd call it like horror audio fiction category,
Mhm.
where it's all just story based. It's all very narrative heavy podcasts that try and do exactly what we were talking about, where they add all these ambiance style sounds just so it's like very immersive as you're listening to the story, and I do really like it in principle.
Yeah, and I really liked this story because it leaned less towards the scary and spooky like ghost stuff and more towards the like creepy true crimey murdery stuff. But in a, you know, in a sense where it wasn't really true crime, but it leaned on that. So for those that haven't listened to the episode, a quick synopsis is basically there's a guy that is an appraiser, gets asked to come to this estate and appraise these people's rarities. They're items of hopefully value. And it sounds like the son was kind of a jerk. He just wanted a bunch of money off of his dead dad's stuff, you know. But his dad collected some eclectic, weird items.
Items of macabre is the word
Items
that
of the
comes
macabre.
Yes.
to mind.
Okay, out of all of the items, what do you think was the creepiest that he saw or came across?
Well, I mean, he said, what's his name? Ed Gain. He had like the skin lampshade thingies.
That's the thing that stuck in my brain.
Yeah, no, because
that was a rumor about him, and the fact that he's like, yeah, now I'm seeing that maybe it was true. That was really creepy.
I was a big fan of the first one that he discovered because I think the way that they set it up was really cool. So he's like, well, this thing,
just
okay.
a steamer trunk.
This thing, okay. And then he was like, oh my God, I guess that this guy was a murderer or something. And he's like, well, and it was an actual person and everything, but the way that they set it up, because from then on, he was getting like frightened in his voice.
That's what was so good about the voice acting is you could really kind of hear and feel this guy kind of going crazy, getting creeped out, getting scared as he's looking at these items of murder or, you know, very macabre things. Like there was the one thing that was interesting as well. Again, I just thought it was interesting was never before seen pictures from the assassination of JFK, very graphic ones. And I don't know. It was a crazy story and it was really interesting. And what else stood out to you guys about this particular story?
I'm trying to think
funny. Yeah,
of something that you did kind of like hit a little bit.
I just, for me, like the spooking stuff it's the spooking stuff. The the like
that's our rival. That's our rival for Halloween. What's the Halloween spirit? Whatever.
Spirit Halloween.
Yeah, that's our rival store. Spooking stuff.
I'd go to Spooked stuff.
I would.
We're only going to be at abandoned gas stations.
Exactly.
I would go to that place because I want to know what the stuff is.
But
Slurpees.
Yeah, just Slurpees. There's ghosts in those machines. But I really liked, because I liked the first example because it was kind of like a mystery, and then all the other ones were just like kind of like, oh, Charles Manson's stuff. And I was like, man, I kind of liked following the mystery of where these things came from. I really enjoyed that, you know, when like the JFK pictures. These are just pictures of JFK. Wait a minute, these are different pictures of JFK. How do we? What are these? And just him going through that because you're filling in the blanks. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed kind of like, huh. thinking about it like that. But the stuff themselves were just kind of like, meh. But the idea behind everything was really fun.
And I really thought that they were not going to let him leave the house. I really thought that it was going to end with
I was waiting for that twist where they're like, we knew it was in there and your picture's going to be in there soon.
Yeah. Well, no, I thought that they were going to like frame him or something. That was what I thought. And I was like, oh.
That's something I didn't pick up. I didn't think about that. So let me get y'all's opinion on the ending, because I'm curious if I understood it correctly. Because most of the times that I listened to it, I was multitasking. So basically, he was telling the son to sell the trunk because he knew that there was the false bottom with the body in it, right? And so he was basically misdirecting him to think that was the thing of value.
Yes, he wanted him to keep that because he was going to destroy everything. Because he had like Nazi paraphernalia and like a bunch of stuff in there. So he was going to destroy everything. He's like, don't destroy this. It's worth $6 million. So he would like keep it and not touch it. And then he like immediately called the cops on him.
Yeah. And then he wanted to call a bunch of journalists and stuff to come write their next expose. By the way, the guy also played a really good snarky dude. Like he was saying snarky stuff the whole time, and very colorful language. But it was great. It really definitely lended towards the story.
I really did like the story. I felt like I could see it in my brain. I was watching him. I was watching him walk through this disturbing museum of death.
Theater of the mind.
Yes, and you did pronounce theater correctly there. You did. So good job. Theater. Tours. Great geese. Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. It's definitely one, though, like you said that you were multitasking. It's definitely one that you like had to pay attention to, because I found myself going, hold on, wait, what's going on? And just rewinding. And I was like, aha, okay. It's good, but it requires your attention a little bit, I think.
Yeah, the first time I listened to it, I was shopping at Publix, so I wasn't very spooked when I was shopping groceries. Today, I was sitting right here, and because I had my stinking blue screen up, I was a little bit, I kept feeling, because they had the stupid surround sound stuff, and I kept feeling like one of my kids was standing right next to me.
Like, I feel like there's something right behind me.
Like, because this stupid thing was right behind me. So you've got that feeling of something right behind you. And yeah, it was funny.
But yeah, I really like this. And I mean, I was telling you, Kirk, that it's weird to hear Justin McElroy, but I always like it because sometimes you can't get Mr. Tide Pod or Tide Pod Man out of your head. And then this helps try and kick him out of there a little bit.
You're going to have to give some reference for what Mr. Tide Pod Man is.
Did we not cover Tide Pod Man on the PDS?
We definitely didn't cover Tide Pod Man.
Okay,
on the PDS.
I was missing something. No, I was like, okay.
So I mean, I guess everybody knows.
What was the podcast from? What was the name of the podcast? I don't remember the name of the podcast.
I don't remember either. We can look it up and include it in the show notes, but prepare your brains. Don't do it. Like, don't just do it all willy-nilly.
It's disturbing.
It's extremely disturbing. Justin McElroy is the oldest brother from Mabim Bam, and he somehow is the best at making connections I've ever heard of. He's friends with Lin-Manuel Miranda. He's friends with Jimmy Buffett because he started ironically listening to Jimmy Buffett and like wanting to go to his music or go to his shows and everything. And now he's like friends with him. And he also made friends with it's not exactly satirical. It kind of is though. So I'm going to call it's like a satirical erotica writer. And he wrote one that Justin McElroy ended up voicing the character, and it was Tide Pod Man. It was right.
The name of it is called, because it's in Goodreads. Slammed in the Butt by My Handsome Laundry Detergent Pod. That is the name of the book.
I feel like that quote
short erotica
needs to be some kind of like a sub alert or something on Twitch.
Nope.
But yeah, so okay, I'm sorry for everyone's brain. Seriously, don't go listen to that just thinking it's nothing. It is highly disturbing, but also insane at the same time. And Justin plays Tide Pod Man.
It is one of those things where it's like one of those inappropriate jokes that like someone would tell, a comedian would say, but it was all hypothetical, but it makes it so disturbing. Like the way that they do everything on that story is ridiculous, and it's a Tide Pod. How can it be like it's disturbing? But they make it disturbing.
It's very disturbing, yeah. But yeah, in this one, he just sounds like Colonel Sanders, and he's a nice guy, just telling you scary stories. So it's great.
And he does a good job of doing the voice, but it not sounding cliche or like he's being a role on, my brother and me.
No, I honestly feel like Trolls 2 or whatever really prepared him for his new world of voice acting.
It was all three of them were one person's voice.
Yeah,
they were on it for like half a second. By the way, Matt, they made a whole podcast series called the McElroy Brothers Will Be in Trolls 2. And it was all about them trying to get into Trolls 2 and having their manager tell them no over and over and them calling all their like celebrity friends. And eventually they got on there. But I think they were like a 3-headed troll that like said like 2 words.
Oh, Trolls, the musical thing?
Like the children's show. Yes. Children's movie.
I thought you meant Troll 2, that insanely bad movie that's already
not
been
the
made.
Bad, horror movie.
No, not that one.
I was like, that would be quite a feat if they somehow got into a movie that's already been made.
We need you to CGI us in now.
Oh my God. Man, I am so out of the loop. Well,
We'll get you in that loop.
I'm glad they did it. I'm just hearing about it, but I'm glad they made it.
But yeah, so that's Bad Vibes. Keith, thank you so much for the recommendation. We love that one.
And I think I am going to listen to all of those during this time of year because they're good, obviously. And there's only like 9 or 10 of them. So I could just listen to all of them. And then I probably will get spooked at some point because I'll listen to it alone and get all scary. I was in the office today while you were in the greenhouse today, Zach, and I was listening to a different scary podcast. I did get a little bit scared.
I know you came outside. Yeah, you came outside.
I listened to it alone.
Yeah, I've been looking for. I don't have a recommendation this week, but I'm looking around. I want a true crime show that's scary. That's what I'm looking for. Because I feel like that's what really is creepy is when you hear about real people doing like messed up things that's spooky. So if I can find a good one, I'm going to bring it.
See, my thing is, okay, here's the way that my brain works with scary things. Jump scares, I get scared immediately, really bad.
Okay.
But
so
it doesn't linger. It's just gone. It doesn't stay. That kind of stuff, the like real life stuff, that stuff stays with me and I get nightmares from. That's the stuff I don't like. I would do the jump scares. It's fun. I'm going to jump and I'm going to say bad words, but I'm fine. The real life stuff freaks me out.
Yeah, me too.
Because people are terrible.
Yeah, no, that's the thing is like really when you look at it, the things that people have actually done are worse than anything you can make up, basically. So yeah, I'm going to be looking for a spooky true crime.
Yeah, I'm always usually exhausted by the end of this month because I always scare myself so much. All right, well, it would not be a spooky season for us if we did not do an episode of Spooked from the producers of my favorite podcast and one of our favorite podcasts as a whole, Snap Judgment, and their special seasonal show, Spooked. They have 22 episodes they came out with this year.
Wow.
But the one that I listened to like 4 of them today, trying to find the one that I thought was like, yeah, that's the one we want to do. And I found one. So it's Spooked, and the episode name is Don't Wanna Fright No More. And it's called that because Brittany Howard from the Alabama Shakes, yes, the Grammy Award winning band, the Alabama Shakes, it tells a ghost story of the home that she lived in that was very haunted. And it's some pretty interesting stuff. It's a really good haunted house story. I really liked it. She's really good at telling a story.
I'm very excited for that.
You have a celebrity and they don't do a good job telling a story. Just they're on there because they're a celebrity. She did a really good job. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about it. So that is Spooked. Don't want to fright no more. Don't want to fright no more. No. And we will talk to you guys next week. And remember,
there's always more to discover.
This was a podcast from the Podfix Network. like it at podfixnetwork.com.